Hey, it is June 7th, 2024. Welcome to the Wrestling Inc. podcast. I'm Glenn here with Flobo, and tonight we're talking about Smackdown. The pieces are being moved into place for a week from tomorrow. Clash at the Castle in Scotland.
Oi.
And if you think this is a last-minute build for a pay-per-view, get ready because we get to do it all over again for Money in the Bank.
Oh yeah,
that they're going to start building immediately after Clash.
yeah. It's interesting because I think we're getting these PLEs thick and fast, but it's like the weakest part of the calendar year. It's like the spring into summer where it's like, well, this is fine. So we're getting a lot of it, a lot of sets, a lot of promo packages, a lot of graphics. But are the matches top tier?
I think this is a mistake, and I think it's going to hurt Money in the Bank. Now, the good thing is the gimmick of Money in the Bank is strong enough that the Monday after Clash of the Castle, they'll start having qualifier matches. You could build that match quickly, but everything else,
right?
I don't know. I'm just tired of these hot-shotted, run-it-back feuds. You know, to set up these PLE matches. Like, I mean, we'll talk about it tonight. We'll talk about what they set up tonight. But it doesn't feel, I mean, I of what they've said so far, I don't feel like titles are really in jeopardy.
No, it definitely feels like an exhibition that it's relying on the exotic location. Like if it was capital punishment in DC this week, we were like, oh, lame.
Yeah.
But we're going to my home country. That's my best Scottish accent. You're going to hit that a lot today, for sure.
Yes. So before we jump into it and talk about a very mid Smackdown, whereas we were saying off the air, it feels like not a lot happened.
Yeah.
But first, what's going on in the news?
News in the wrestling this week? Well, first things first, a lot of contract talks seem to be swirling. It seems like seemingly out for overnight, we're getting a lot more contract status updates from talent. Not sure if we got new sources in the wrestling biz or what have you, but namely of Dijak in WWE and Penta Miedo in AEW. Both these gentlemen have at the end of their current contracts, with Dijak being called up to Raw, even though having no creative plans for him, and Penta, one half of the Lucha Bros. We like him a lot, and seemingly haven't had the best run at AEW, so it's kind of interesting to see what both men do when it's time to resign.
Yeah. We'll see, man. I don't think anyone, well, I don't know. With Dijak, it would be weird if they let him go, but it's also kind of weird that he got called up, but they haven't really used him.
The Odyssey Jones method. I like it.
I don't know, maybe it is a little unpredictable. I mean, I don't think Chad Gable is going anywhere.
I mean, if I'm Chad, I wouldn't. I think you're doing some of the best. I mean, even the character was kind of simple, but still kind of the best character work you've had your entire career.
Yeah, he's crushing it.
Yeah, Shorty G.
Yeah. Everybody loves Shorty G.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I think Dijak could go either way, but it seems weird they would have invested all this time in him, had him go through that journey in NXT, bring him up to the main roster, and then like, nah, we're just gonna let you go.
I feel as a baseball fan that happens a lot for contract reasons, where it's kind of like, look, we have you in the minor leagues, we're going to bring you up, just get Briss to bring you up, and then what's going on. But in the case of Dijak, maybe it really was an exhibition. It's like, can you do some of these dark matches? Can you hang with what's up? Can we use you or not? And maybe the show itself is going a different direction. But it's unfortunate because I do think Dijak really turned it on as Dijak, even though I can't really describe what Dijak is supposed to be. Is he a mercenary? Is he a bounty hunter?
He believes in hard justice. He's a vigilante.
A vigilante, but he's also a heel. So I'm not sure if he's like Moon Knight. I have no idea. But still, you got to give him a chance. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, look, T-Bar's failing on the main roster wasn't Dijak's fault.
It wasn't. That's putting it lightly.
So I don't know. I mean, I could actually, you know what? I could see them doing a couple vignettes, and doing like a relaunch for him. I mean, right now, also timing wise, we've got so much invested in Braun Breaker. I don't know. I think they're gonna let him simmer a bit, but it seems weird to like re-sign him. Do they ever do extensions of just like, hey, let's do like a 3-month or a 6-month deal?
I haven't seen 3 and 6 month deal. I've seen end of month. I've seen past pay-per-view events, kind of a spot deal that way.
Sure.
But then again, like I said, even going into this idea of like this person's contract's up seems to be kind of a new mechanic we're seeing, right? I almost felt like it was like a barren wasteland, and now we know when everyone's contract.
Everybody.
So, yeah.
Yeah. It's weird because if I was playing my GM mode,
Hell yeah.
I would be like, well, he's not in a storyline right now. He's going to just end up on another brand. I can always bring him back later.
Right.
You know?
I'm with you. So if I'm actually playing the game, I would probably cut him. But if I was the book, if I had the pen over at Raw, this is somebody you keep warm all the time because he's big enough to be a level 1 boss like a Baron Corbin, and then he doesn't has a unique look where you don't have to explain. If he comes out, you kind of get it. He's all visual.
Absolutely. You know who I would like to see him be more like is did you watch Future Man?
Mm-mm.
Oh, you're missing out. The character Wolf on Future Man is always what I thought of. Dijak has been like he's been very deadpan, but he's been very funny.
Right.
Like I could see them making that more of his shtick, where it's like mercenary vigilante, and he said a lot of stuff that's unintentionally hilarious, but he does it with a straight face.
I like it. That matches his ratio stuff on Twitter?
Because he's very funny on Twitter.
Right.
You know, or the X.com, as the kids say.
I wonder if people like Dijak owe a lot to the artist formerly known as Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona, because I remember he got himself over not once, not twice, but 3 times on social media when he thought his career was over by doing stuff like this. Because I don't think about Dijak's personality on the show, but on Twitter it's like, get this ratio. It's like so hilarious.
And I think what we know is not happening is we are not getting a main roster run it back of him and Joe Gacy if Gacy is going to debut right after Clash of the Castle as part of the new Wyatt family.
I don't know. I don't follow QR codes. I have zero
not big on QR codes.
I just don't. I don't get it. It's a mystery, but it's not. It's ignored on Fridays, but addressed on Mondays. It's like I give. All right, just let me know how the roller coaster ends. All right, I'm on Space Mountain. I can't see anything. Just stop the car.
Flobo is not a member of QR Anon.
No, I'm definitely not. I'm definitely not. Just give me the reveal, man.
Hey, Monday after Clash of the Castle, allegedly.
Hopefully.
According to info on a QR code like a week or 2 ago.
Allegedly.
We'll see what else is going on in the news.
Well, speaking about updates, we got a little update of Rhea Ripley and her shoulder injury. We all know Dirty Dom is keeping himself occupied on Monday nights, but everyone's asking, where's mommy coming? And so we had an idea that Rhea Ripley is starting to opt for rehab over surgery of her injured shoulder. And even though rehab seems to be more of an option to get her back in the ring as soon as possible, SummerSlam may not be in the offing for mommy. Rhea Ripley working hard to get back into the game.
Yeah, I miss her, man. But I think this with Liv and involving Dominant, like, this is excellent storytelling. You know? Isn't it nice to kind of have Dom be like confused? He's like, why are these women like, he's just like, I'm a victim of circumstance, you know?
Yeah. Definitely have to think about Dom and other women. But I felt like the storyline was like in the game this year, was it not? In My Rise Unleashed, spoiler.
Ooh, I wonder if they're taking cues from the game. I don't know, man. My Rise had some pretty whack storylines this year.
What?
Yeah, so some of the matches, I mean, I didn't play through the whole thing, but it's like, I don't know.
Wait, which one are you talking about? Unleashed or Undisputed?
Huh? Oh, that's a good question. Okay, I thought in the one where you dethrone Roman, I thought it was just kind of silly.
Oh, yeah.
Undisputed. I mean, so it was just stretches the limits of belief. Actually, and now that I think about it, Unleashed also stretches the limits of belief. They're not bringing in someone from an indie and then like as a worker. I mean, and then she gets the spot and she gets to like promote the indie and it's a little far-fetched Cinderella story.
So you want realism, because I feel like the cool thing is about My Rise is that because it would never happen, like GM being the Miz on SmackDown, that I'm kind of on board of it being like a fictional world. But
it feels too, I don't know, like actually in a weird way, Unleashed feels the world of Unleashed feels a little more real, but it all feels like the movie version of like, oh, we need to create a first person narrative. And that being said about Unleashed, if you ever wanted Shotzi Blackheart to just like belittle and neg you for like 30 minutes,
Yeah.
like Unleashed is the one for you.
I mean, yeah. Well, as a guy who finished both, I don't want to spoil anything, but
Yeah.
I enjoyed Undisputed for its brevity, and I enjoyed Unleashed for how just off the wall it goes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's nuts.
Yeah. It would be funny if there was more. I mean, because My Rise has some fun story beats that hit you with like, oh, you got sabotaged, oh, you got this person wants this. But it would be funny if in Unleashed or Undisputed, you get in a match one week and they're just like, yeah, the writers have no clue what to do with you. So it's
creative nothing for you.
Yeah, creative has nothing for you. So you're either doing this trick or treat fight, or you're hanging out in catering.
Dude, I would love a little mini game, quick time moment where he's eating the food at catering.
It'd be like AEW Fight Forever. You know?
No.
Yeah, AEW with the restaurant mode.
The potential for that game, man. Ugh.
What else is happening?
Oh, and finally tonight, as told per Tom Colicchio, who was a longtime employee of WWE on the Insiders podcast with Conrad Thompson, apparently Vince McMahon has been officially barred from all facilities in WWE, including the gym that he helped create from scratch is now not allowed. Vince McMahon continues to be persona non grata in the wake of his sexual assault case.
I mean, it makes sense for multiple reasons, but I think part of it too is that when you talk about the Justice Department and people investigating, like, you need to have very clear lines. You know?
Yeah, I'm not going to say I don't know why it's news, because every once in a while was going over Vince McMahon, but I think the bigger story would be like if he was allowed to go.
Yeah.
Him not being allowed is like, yeah, I wouldn't allow him either if he's under investigation, but who knows?
Yeah. You see one of those like covert gym videos where it's like, yeah, he just comes in here and works out angrily alone at 1 a.m.
Yeah, that would be a story. I mean, it'd be a really weird story. That'd be a story, right? But
that would be a story.
His key card no longer works. Back to you in the studio.
Yeah, I don't think it's that much of a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it for the news. Let's talk about
Hillbilly Aladdin's. Okay, yeah, SmackDown.
Yes. Tonga Loa became anointed into the bloodline. I thought he was already in the bloodline.
I thought so too.
But Tama Tonga is now known as the right-hand man.
Yeah.
They're really stretching this out. Sorry. I mean, the problem with Baby Bloodline or Bloodline the Next Generation is that
that's a terrible name.
Yeah, but it's just, I like Solo. This is actually not doing Solo favors. If this was like, if it was like Solo's like Roman's gone, I got to do my own thing now. Like, don't even call it the Bloodline. Give it its own name. And it was Solo with his backup, and they're just gonna wreck shop and be like the 3-man Samoan Shield in WWE. Like, that's cool. But the fact that he's out there trying to be Roman, wearing the suit, and Paul, why does Paul work there? This is clearly a hostile work environment.
Well, it's not like there's a Craigslist for Wiseman that he could just go somewhere else. I mean, he's kind of locked in. He had the.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing.
Well, I'm with you. I think that this new bloodline is kind of not the same. But I'm starting to be on board with it. 2 weeks ago, I was like, yeah, I don't get it at all. But I go, hey, look, we're at the point now we're getting uncomfortable. We're getting kind of antsy. There's a we want Roman chance. It does seem tide is turning. We want at least a Uso. I want 2 Usos. Why not back together? So I get the idea long term, but to get to that blow off of Roman returns, we have to go through weeks and weeks of this.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Money in the Bank, probably
for Roman.
Yeah, SummerSlam.
Roman's not coming back to War Games.
You don't think that long?
Yeah, because if Roman was a weekly wrestler, I would say yeah, SummerSlam, sure. But the fact that he was always part-time, I'm definitely thinking if not WrestleMania's ramp up at War Games.
This is like Universal Soldier, where they waited like 5 direct-to-video sequels, and they were like, we got Van Damme and Dolph back. Like, I think they just got Van Damme back. But
didn't know there's more than 2. That's why I'm
supposedly the later Universal Soldier direct-to-video sequels are actually really, really good.
Yeah, like the Marine, right? Sure.
No, I'm serious. Like
I'm serious.
I'm serious. I thought this too, but I've read like think pieces about how this elevates the art of what a direct-to-video sequel could be.
I'm sorry, but a lot of times when it comes about creative banks and all that stuff goes out the window in 6, 7, 8, or 9. I love Fast and Furious, but I can't convince somebody to check out Fast 7. Like it's kind of past the point.
That
of
was the last
expiration.
Paul Walker one.
It was.
I mean, like, yes, you could tell they had to use his brothers as stand-ins. There's some computer-generated stuff that maybe was a little imperfect, but everybody welled up with tears.
Oh yeah.
At the end of that,
we gave that movie a pass because of what happened, but truthfully, it hasn't been the same since the 5th one.
Yeah, and you're forgetting Ronda Rousey's tour de force performance.
It was a performance for sure.
Not as good as a performance in the Entourage movie, but where I really believe she was into Turtle.
I mean, who isn't?
Yeah, it's true. Anyhow, so Solo. That's what this is like. Imagine if they made an Entourage sequel where it's like Turtle's a success. Now Turtle has his own entourage.
I would actually watch. Turtle's a lot of fun. He was a driver. Now he's a leader. I'm in.
Yes. And Paul Heyman is Ari Gold, so he's still there, and he's just like, I don't know, man. This is fine, but Kevin Owens came out, Street Profits came out. This set up a 6-man tag. So is it going to be KO versus Solo at Clash of the Castle, or maybe the next week, the night before?
Definitely the night before, I would think. But the Street Profits this past year has been so confusing for me. It looked like they're going to do a leaner and meaner, not quite heel turn, but about business. Lashley is injured, I think, and now they're baby faces again. Like I don't understand why. Did Karrion Kross change their psyche too, like they did to Rey Mysterio? I have no idea. It's weird.
I don't know. It's very odd. It's all very odd. So after this, Cody was backstage waiting for AJ. They were going to set up that confrontation for them later in the night. But then we had Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair versus Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae.
Hell yeah.
And you'll never believe who won this match.
Oh, yeah? Who?
Jade and Bianca.
Oh, what? But they won last time at the last PLE.
And Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler were outside the ring on one side, and Isla and Alba were on the ring on the other side. Now, Alba and Isla, not really mystic, dark arts witches anymore.
No. And so this is all talking about storylines that have been dropped, but not. Because, 2 months ago, they were backstage kind of having this bubbly Chelsea Green thing with Nick Aldis, and then they were off TV, and now they're back doing that, just being the fall people. But then you're like, well, if there's anyone that should be dark artsy, it's them. Unless the Wyatt family is going to be on SmackDown?
Wyatt's going to be the exclusive dark arts faction.
On SmackDown or Raw?
I think on both. I think because you can't have multiple ones, because you can't have the Final Testament being like, oh, we're all creepy too. You can't have multiples of this. It doesn't work. But no, I agree. I want Isla and Alba backstage, double, toil and trouble. Like, I want them over like a cauldron.
I hate it.
Casting spells.
I know as long as Isla Dawn has been in WWE program, she's been a little bit spooky, but it did feel very CW villain of her.
She had the glow up tonight. She did not look like she was in the Craft reboot.
True. But I remember I'm going back to the NXT UK episodes where she would like steal people's locks of hair and
I love that.
And it's like, what are we doing?
Being amazing. That's an amazing gimmick.
It is, but the fact that the UK is so matter of fact, it seems kind of like, what's the word? Discongruent or
different beliefs over there. In America, people believe in angels. In the UK, they believe in witchcraft.
I just imagine her being like, I have your soul. And so I was like, bugger off, mate. Like, I just see that. What you doing? Like, it seems kind of weird to me, but maybe I'm just in the minority there.
No, I really liked Isla and Alba. I love the idea they cursed the women's tag team titles, but I get it. Like, they're getting this soft reboot right now, and it's going to be a triple threat at Clash of the Castle.
Sure.
With Jade and Bianca versus Zoe and Shayna, and then Isla and Alba, who I'm reasonably convinced are taking the pin in that match. Maybe they stack both of them, but I think they're going to give Shayna and Zoe more. They're going to give them a pass on losing. so they can run that back.
I need something more from Shayna and Zoe. Like I get it. Like these are ladies. If you saw a picture of them together, you go, "Oh man, these people must like are patrons of the most roughest bar in town." But I still don't see them working together. I don't see them gelling. They're just tough looking people being together, which is great. But I want a reason why there's a bond there. Why would Zoe hang out with Shayna and Shayna hang out with Zoe? They seem like lone wolves.
Well, that's Baron Corbin's gimmick.
Burn your ships.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to the NXT Underground match with Shayna on Sunday.
Oh yeah, a Battleground.
Yeah.
Hey,
cool.
You know, we're having a Battleground post PLE show here in Wrestle Inc.
Gonna be Flobo and George. I'm gonna be at Battleground.
I'm not gonna be on it. Jack Farmer is.
Oh, Jack is. That's right.
Sorry, they sent me the catering on Sunday. It's going to be George Hermosa and Jack Farmer breaking down the best things at the NXT Battleground PLE exclusively here on Wrestling Incorporated. JK, it's wink.
And I'll be at the show, so look for me in the crowd. If you see me in the crowd, wave hi to your television.
You're too lucky, man. You're going to be in every shot because it's a very intimate venue.
It is a very intimate venue.
Yeah.
Intimate makes it sound like I'm going to like a jazz concert, or I'm going to watch like I'm going to watch Carly Simon perform some songs acoustic.
Dude, that's hilarious. A wrestling show where like everyone slams everyone softly and there's like upright basses for theme songs.
It's a very intimate venue.
Right.
No, I think it'll be cool. I'm looking forward to Battleground. But no, this triple threat, I mean, look, Jade and Bianca are so dominant right now. They're not losing anytime soon. It'll be good, but this is a zero suspense match.
Which was my original problem of having Jade and Bianca as a tag team and having them in the tag team division. I don't want to say I'm right yet because obviously you have to build a division. We're seeing more bodies show up. That's great. But as of right now, there isn't a tag team. If it was booked, that I will go, oh man, this is going to be a match. I can't tell who's going to win or lose.
Yeah. Carmelo and LA Knight.
Yeah.
Had an altercation, set up a match for later in the show.
Love it.
Angel and Umberto beat up Apollo.
Don't love it. So last week I professed my love for Apollo Crews and I rock with him as Yuha Nation. Too easy. I did the whole I'm going to come out every week during Raw and get beat up. Nigerian Prince, seeing the future, journalist. I did everything with Apollo Crews. But him being like, I'm ready to fight and getting like 2 slaps and a sneeze and be like, oh, I can't compete tonight. It just makes him look so weak. It was terrible to watch. It really was.
And they weren't even in werewolf form when they beat him up.
Stop. Well, you stop.
They have to hide that now because of the new Wyatt family. They can't, no more dark gimmicks.
They were never wolves. They were never. You and Issa, I swear to God, they were never wolves.
Who's to say? DIY came out. We had Grayson Waller with Austin Theory versus Johnny Gargano with Tommaso Ciampa.
Love it.
This was good. I mean, Grayson won.
Yeah, Grayson won. It's a 1-to-1 thing. Again, I'm not convinced of what DIY means on the main roster. It's just hard because when you have NXT gimmicks, especially back then where you just ring the freaking bell like an Adam Cole, it doesn't quite work in the main roster. You could ask Shinsuke, you could ask Sanity, you could ask Bobby Roode. So now DIY has to show me what it means. And slapping hands with the fans and posing is not something that's going to work for them long term. That said, the match works because Johnny Wrestling can wrestle.
Well, they lost tonight.
Okay. Yeah, they did. Party pooper.
Yeah. Good match. But yeah, I like to see DIY get something more substantial.
Yeah.
Good for Grayson Waller, though.
You like him? Are you a Grayson Waller fan?
Yeah. I think Grayson Waller's fun.
Okay. Just doesn't seem really enthused, but okay.
No, he's fun to watch. They do. He and Austin do good segments. Cool. It was weird looking at those Louisville Sluggers they were showing, and it was like Triple H, I get, and there was like an Austin Theory Louisville Slugger.
He looks like a baseball player.
Sure.
The hate.
No, I don't know what I associate with him. But okay, so anyhow, we heard from Cody Rhodes, who was calling out AJ. Now this is interesting. AJ surprise attacked Cody last week, and Cody's response is to say, I'm going to give you another shot at my title. I'm going to give you this match, Clash of the Castle. And by the way, it's an I Quit match.
Right.
Now, when he said, and I'm going to give you what you pretended to do last week, I was going to career versus title. That would certainly have some stakes.
Sure.
Loser leaves town. That would have some stakes. Oh, how about if AJ loses, he can never challenge for the title again.
Oh, great.
Good wink and a nod. But I quit. I mean,
well, so on one hand, I'm excited for the I Quit match because to me it isn't as worn out as Last Man Standing, which I thought was going to be the actual stipulation. That said, the problem I'm having specifically with Cody's reign is that these are a bunch of half measures, right? Like you were saying, in Saudi, both titles could have been on the line. It isn't. This match, AJ could have been retired, and he's not. And so I go, who is it really benefiting? Because if I'm now buying a ticket to Clash the Castle, I go, oh, this is just an exhibition PLE, not one of character or merit.
Cody is very much, as a champion, very generous in telling everyone, I'll give you 4-1 odds on beating me. Which feels a little unrealistic. Why doesn't he just offer to tie a hand behind his back? I
can never begin to fathom wrestling odds. I know they tried doing that on DraftKings, but there's no way.
I understand. No, but I'm just saying that, like, because typically you're supposed to believe when you have two people evenly matched for main event match, it could go either way. It's 50-50.
Right.
So it's like Cody saying, well, if I win, you only have to give me $1. If you win, I'll give you $4.
But he's a genetic freak and he's not normal.
Yes. I don't know. My other issue with an I Quit match is that
you have multiple issues with I Quit matches?
Yes, especially as main events. Although I don't think it's going to be the main event.
Semi-main, probably.
Okay. Which is good because I Quit matches tend to go on way too long.
Well, that's the point, is it not?
Yeah, but brevity is the soul of wit. No, like we know Cody ain't losing this match.
Maybe. No, you're right. You're right. He's not going to lose a match, but an I Quit match has to give you at least 20 minutes. This is why I hate Iron Man matches now. Back then, when there were 60, makes sense. But when you have these 30-minute Iron Man matches and everyone becomes super weak and gets rolled up after a backside elbow, I go, oh, this sucks. And so, yeah, it has to be drawn out. It has to be, I quit. The last one with Judgment Day and Edge made sense because Beth Phoenix got involved. But yeah, it has to be a grueling match, unfortunately.
And it's the Batman versus Superman issue, which they used to do this a lot. I remember when Roman and Seth were competing, or Roman and Ambrose, or Seth and Ambrose. Both guys have to look super strong, face of the company, top guy. So these matches had to go on really long, and both of them had to look invincible. One of them just happened to get the other hand. Right. Where I'm saying with this, AJ's good, but Cody's the champ. Cody ain't losing. I know they don't want to make AJ look weak, but this match does not need to go longer than 20 minutes.
So we're men of a certain age, and I don't know about you, but I'll admit I'm an old man because I know you're youthful inside and out. This is the match for the kids. This is the match for Gen Alpha and Gen whatever the heck, whatever it is, because when you have a babyface champion who's also a workhorse champion, the only way you keep them fresh for younger viewers is that he overcomes the odds. And so this isn't John Cena's run when you have Nexus. This isn't John Cena's run when you have a Randy Orton. You're basically hot-shotting Cody's opponents. Have Cody get beat up for 20 minutes, have him find a way to pull out the disaster kick out of nowhere, and then say, hey, look, with the power of friendship and the fans, I won again. Whoa!
Okay. Well, you make a compelling argument.
You hate this idea. I love it.
No, it's fine. I mean, look, I think Drew and Priest are headlining as they should. I think that's going to be the only title that changes hands unless CM Punk costs Drew.
Yeah. I think CM Punk costs Damian Priest personally.
Okay. I mean, kind of let some of the air out of that balloon.
I mean, well, I think that Punk is going to try to attack Drew. Screw up, hits Damian, and then you're going to have the side quest because that warms up CM Punk. That brings Damian Priest down the card, and then you have your Drew CM Punk match.
Got it. That makes sense. So Carmelo took on LA Knight.
Yeah.
Man, I understand somebody has to lose matches. I just think for all the momentum Carmelo had coming out of NXT, like he's getting to showcase his skills, but I think this is not a hot. He has not had the hottest entry onto the main roster.
I'm with you. If you're thinking about wins and losses, Carmelo's been disappointing.
Yeah.
However, I think what makes this work right now, it can't happen again. What works right now is that Carmelo is basically being a thorn in LA Knight's side. LA Knight has the title match. So Carmelo loses, but then he could be like, oh, you caught me slipping. But once I really mean I don't miss, So I do think it will be paid off soon. But you're right. It's a very small window when someone comes up to the main roster. You have to throw them wins. You have to give them the chance to fly, or else, and I don't mean to be funny here, you may have a situation like a Cameron Grimes who shows up, the reaction goes away, and then they go away.
Well, thankfully, I don't think he's at that level or in that danger but Grimes' main roster call was just bad. It's a good match though. I mean, LA Knight continues to be so over, and he did, call out Logan Paul. Logan Paul legit is in a Tetris tournament this weekend. And that's why he's not there.
Wow. If wrestling were real, I wonder how Nick Aldis took that call. You what? Well, all right, but next week, I was like, what? A Tetra? What if Logan loses? Does he show up and go, sorry, y'all? I let everyone down? Like, what the hell?
Yeah. I'm going to say something exclusive for listeners of this podcast. Logan Paul is going to make some very interesting news next week.
Interesting. Do you know what the news is?
No, can't say. Just stay tuned.
I'm not saying to tell us, but do you know?
Pretty good idea.
Wow. Breaking news, man.
Just a little heads up. Pay attention. Pay attention early next week.
Well, your prime deal. Has to be a prime deal.
Yeah. We'll see. But anyhow, so Logan and LA Knight continues. Now, do you think when that match happens for the title, LA Knight wins or Carmelo costs LA Knight kicking the rematch to SummerSlam?
If it happened in a vacuum, I think you nailed it. But I'm really adamant about the CM Punk return. That's to have that happen twice would be kind of lame. I think LA Knight wins that title. And it's not a knock against Logan. I just think that there's more stories to tell with LA Knight right now. Logan can go somewhere else on the card, even challenge for Cody again, this time for the championship a second time. But then that stare down, LA Knight wins it, LA Knight, yeah, and then goes top of the ramp, stare down Carmelo, and then we have a first challenger.
Yeah. Okay. I can get with that. Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax had a little exchange backstage, and I actually loved this. It reminds me of when Nia and Eva Marie were hanging out for like that week in NXT.
Right.
Like, I think that could be kind of fun if they have to. I mean, because it's Tiffany Stratton, she needs something to do. She's clearly over. Her being Nia's hype woman could be very interesting.
I mean, yeah, but first you got to deal with that Michin throwing drinks
around. Throwing soda.
Wow. Just deplorable.
Ruining that WWE draft hat that Nia was so graciously autographing.
What's going on with that? That Michin needs to be stopped.
It's weird because she's in the North American title match for the women at Battleground Sunday.
She is, and I didn't know what the deal is with the OC was. Well, one, if they were the OC, it looks like they are, but are they free agents? Does a free agent contract exist in the 2024 draft class? I don't know. The rules are weird, but to answer your thing, she is. The Sunday has a chance of winning. I don't think she does, but it's interesting they're on both brands.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I am very interested to see this Nia Tiffany pairing if that indeed does happen.
I guess.
Well, you gotta, I don't know. I mean, but Tiffany's going to be in Money in the Bank.
Well, you think so?
I think so. I'm not saying she's winning.
Right.
But 6 women in the match. Didn't they do 7 one year?
I feel like they did.
Maybe even 8.
If Tiffany came up as Nia's hype woman, fine. But to see her flounder, but see her have some losses and then do this, to me goes, I don't know, Tiffany. Let's hope you don't lose yourself.
Well, I mean, they're doing the same thing with Chelsea. And we'll talk about that because Bayley, actually, that's really weird now that I think about that juxtaposition. Then Bayley came out, put Piper over. I love this. This was classic promo 101 of how you build up your opponent while also building yourself and building the match.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that her and Piper came out with Chelsea Green. Chelsea, who, again, maybe Tiffany could be the Chelsea to Nia. But
on the same brand, you think?
No, probably not on the same brand. But is Piper and Chelsea, is that long-term SmackDown, or are they just here for this?
I think they're going to be a placeholders in that tag team division. Piper is going to get hot shotted because they're at Clash of the Castle. And that's okay. I'm not trying to knock the idea of hyping someone up for essentially another exhibition match, because frankly, what we're paying for now is not the idea someone may lose a title. It's just, hey, how does WWE work in Scotland or whatever? I'm fine with that. But as far as their tag team, I think that's the best way to put them. Piper needs a lot of rehab if you want to really make her a legitimate star. And Chelsea Green has a crowd in her hand, but she has to win matches. So how else do you do that?
Piper's promo was good. Here's what I don't like. Remember when WWE, and I'm not comparing in-ring ability on this one. I just want to make this very clear. Remember when that Lana versus Charlotte match, and they built up, like, they really had you believe, like, maybe Lana, like, she's not going to win, but maybe this is going to be like a really competitive match. You could see that the creative powers that be might be high on her. Right. And then as soon as that bell rung, it was like, oh no. They really had me up until then. Right. But then they did something similar. And again, this is no disrespect to Lana, but I think even CJ would tell you, like, in-ring wrestling is not her number one skill. Sure. Or what she brings to the industry. But then with Tamina, remember they built Tamina up against Ronda Rousey. And it was like, yeah, you could just flip a switch and Tamina has everything on paper to be like, this makes sense.
Yep.
That she could be a vicious force. And then the bell rang. And then it was like, yeah, they're not doing Ronda like that. Ronda's not going to have a really competitive match. So what I don't like when they do this, thankfully, they're not going to do that to Piper. This will be competitive. This is not going to be a Bayley squash, but still, I don't think anyone thinks Piper is winning.
I think the examples you used are perfect, right? Like, Tamina is somebody that was great, but she had been on the roster for about 6 years at that point before she got that opportunity. And Lana, by her own admission, wasn't the greatest in ring. Now, Piper or Viper or Dewdrop.
Piper is.
Piper is, and we've seen her go, and she did a very smart thing and put over the Mae Young Classic, which needs a return, to be honest with you.
Absolutely.
And Bayley, even though I don't like her theme song having 3 key changes, says, hey, look, I love what you do. I respect what you do, but I got to put you down. I think that alone is great. What I didn't like, and this is going to be kind of ironic, this is about nuance. We know we're going to Scotland, right? We did that with Drew McIntyre. But once someone goes, my home country, knowing WWE almost never gives you the shine.
The Triple H era.
I would rather them tell me that in promo. Give me the, I grew up here in Kilburnie, some 200 miles away, and I'm here. Give me that. Don't be like, in my home country. What?
I just like your impression. I just like how you do it.
Whatever. Like, give me some of that.
It's respectful. You're not groundskeeper willying it, so it's good. You're being very respectful.
Hey, you know what? It's kind of a deep cut here, but my family is from Barbados, and we actually have a deep connection to the Scots, and so we have the same cross and everything. So I will all respect the world for my Scottish brethren. That said, though, once you go, hey, I'm going into Brooklyn, my hometown. I'm like, oh, he ain't winning. He ain't winning. I'm sorry. No chance.
Well, they're not gonna have it be a squash, but I think they could have. Okay, let me put it this way. If they could have used an extra month to make this really a competitive match. If they put Piper on a winning streak, and had her doing, actually, honestly, if they had her booking dominant matches, you know, and just had her out there like squashing people, then her and Bailey, you'd be like, oh, what's going to happen?
Well,
I think
that's the rub, Glenn. Like,
yeah.
not so much anymore with AEW, but there was a time when AEW only had 4 pay-per-views. So there
Yeah.
was almost too much build in some
Yeah.
cases. Now, I mean, ever since WrestleMania, it's been every 3 weeks. I kind of forgot about what day Clash was until today. And I was like, oh crap.
That's what I'm saying. They're hot-shotting this stuff too quick, you know? And I mean, we're gonna get SummerSlam is also 3 weeks after.
So my issue wouldn't have been if it was like 2 tracks for PLEs. If it was like the star events, like we have these giant, like the big 4 or the big championship stuff, or maybe you give me like a fight night, right? It's a pay-per-view, it's 2 hours, like a Smackville pay-per-view, 2 hours. We're giving you cool matchups, so we kind of know it's an elevated SmackDown. I think you can navigate that, but you're telling me every 3 weeks, drop what you're doing, get up at a certain time zone to watch matches, you're going to get things that feel kind of inauthentic given where they are on the card.
And by the way, you can tell and advance stories that don't have to culminate in a match at Clash of the Castle. You could be right now laying the groundwork and advancing that story through Clash of the Castle to pay off at Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
You know, you could have more like I feel like they're not doing they're not layering an overlapping story as much, you know?
I know they won't do this, but I love if they did 1 or 2 just Mystery Vortex, Worlds Collide, Cyber Sunday shows throughout the year. I think but the problem is if I am Australia or France or Brazil, whatever, I don't want that. I want the top stars. And so we have the situation where guys like Cody are getting these hotshot matches. But I think the solution really is to have these 2 tracks, 1 pay-per-view track that's kind of like your superstars, 1 are kind of like cool matchups. If Gallus showed up on Monday Night Raw going, hey, look, we're from Glasgow. Let's get me an opponent for this Sunday. Yeah, it's a random match, but it makes sense. And you don't have to be like, in my home country, I have a match. It's like, you know what I mean? To me, it's kind of theater.
This, and I know they had issues with moving tickets and generating interest, but this was the benefit when they were doing separate Raw and SmackDown PLEs.
Right.
Was that you got better, but you still had a PLE every month, but you got to alternate and build the stories more for them.
Yeah. I think most casual fans don't really buy into the benefit of having 20 minutes uninterrupted wrestling. It's kind of like, who's on the card? I ain't watched it. Worst card ever. But you'll notice with backlashes, the cards have been weak, but the shows have been great. So why not go what works? But I'm just super concerned because I know WWE is on fire right now. And I wonder,
they're everywhere.
Will it still be as hot a year from now with all these PLEs coming out of nowhere?
Well, and especially, I mean, let's go further with this. NXT, they're clearly holding some stuff for the CW. Raw, they're really thinking ahead towards Netflix. SmackDown's coming back to USA Network. Like, I think there's a little bit of timeline management that they're like, yeah, we could do that now, but we really need something hot and major for when we move. Like, they got to open big and sustain that for a couple weeks. So how do they keep interest now without burning the A material?
I hear you and I understand that, but if you hold back for too long,
you
run the risk of just it being like
injuries.
And we'll get to this now, but like today's main event wouldn't have happened had it been in February or March. 6 talents that are kind of 2 tiers or without any kind of direct leadership are in a 6-man tag and it ends in DQ. What?
Yeah.
Huh?
So that's the Bloodline versus the Baby Bloodline versus Kevin Owens and the Street Profits.
The real Bloodline. The only Bloodline that matters. the OC.
I mean, this match was fine, but then ended in DQ.
Well,
because Sikoa grabbed a chair. And then they kept fighting, but the Bloodline stood tall at the end.
Right. We love Kevin Owens, but he loses a lot of main events. The Street Profits don't have their own leader. If I'm Bobby Lashley, I'm not sure what's wrong with Bobby Lashley. If it's like legit, okay, we don't know. But if I am the kayfabe leader of the Street Profits, I will at least have a promo being like, guys, what are we doing? Why are we getting involved in Bloodline business? Our thing was dress well, get money. Why are we taking down the family of? It would seem on paper, if I was writing a novel, these characters wouldn't even cross paths. But now they're in a main event for whatever reason. I don't know.
Well, they could be all about checks and championships. And maybe
I
get
would
some
think
leadership
so.
to that effect.
Like, okay, even if it was really random. Remember the time on Raw during the pandemic where the Hurt Business took out Retribution for no reason? It was dumb, but at least they were saying, "Hey, look, they were bothering us. We couldn't have our matches. We couldn't make our money. We took them out." That makes sense. But you beat Final Testament at WrestleMania, and then you decided to become a vigilantes on SmackDown. Why? What's in it for you?
I don't know, man. But hey, they're with BFAB. That's cool.
Is she going to wrestle?
That's a good question. I feel like they know that's an option, but that is not necessarily the main thing they want her there for.
Okay. Not every talent needs to wrestle. Paul Heyman doesn't wrestle, but I still
True.
That was still never established, right? BFAB.
Oh my God! Please give us a segment where Paul Heyman's gonna have a match and he puts on the singlet and the headgear.
You know damn well if this was 1998, he would have. Or Paul Heyman now, if it was booked like in 98, he would do that.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I'd pop for that.
I would too.
That would be cool. But yeah, we went off the other night with the Bloodline standing tall. So go Bloodline.
You don't sound convinced at all. This is the real Bloodline, man. The real one.
The real one?
Mm-hmm. Here's a question.
Yeah, please.
Roman comes back. He comes back and he is a protagonist because he won't be a face. You know, he's going to be Roman, whatever. How do you keep this version of Roman interesting? You can't reinstall a bloodline. That'd be lame. So he has to be a guy that you want to root for. What would be his thing? You are the fake family. You're Tongan. I'm Samoan.
How do you keep him interesting? First off, sassy new haircut.
Like a high shave? Cornrows? What?
Ooh, braids. I think sassy new haircut, number 1. 2, new catchphrase.
Suffer and succotash.
Yeah, suffer and succotash. And it should be on a shirt. They should have so much confidence you should come back wearing the shirt with the new catchphrase before he even says it. And you're just like, man, they really have confidence in this new catchphrase.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think fresh, unexpected storyline. He doesn't feud against someone in the bloodline.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to kind of reintroduce him, you know?
Right.
Maybe he works a couple of episodes of Level Up. You know, we need to reestablish Roman.
That no one talks about.
So maybe he's on Level Up, and then maybe he comes in and just, you know, a match on main event, not in the main event, on main event. That's just kind of build some buzz, build some interest.
Kale Dixon's open challenge, Roman Reigns comes out, just scares him. That's so dumb.
This is how we reboot him as a babyface.
That is. I will not cheer that, sir.
It could be like, Roman, weren't you the head of the table? Weren't you rolling with the bloodlines? Like, I don't hang out with those guys anymore.
Oh my gosh.
I'm doing my own thing now. I've decided that it's about Roman the individual, not the family, not the dynasty.
That is awful. Just have him come out to being the big dog again.
And you have Michael Cole, and they sample it. Def Rebel samples that in the theme song. Goes the big dog.
Oh man, those Def Rebel memes, awful.
Yes. I don't know. No, I mean he's gonna come back, challenge Solo. It'll be him and the OGs. I mean him and the Usos versus Solo, Tama and Loa. But where's Jacob Fatu factor in this? I guess he's maybe the secret weapon. Maybe they keep Jay separate because he's crushing it so much on his own right now. And maybe Jacob comes back. So it's Jacob, Jimmy, and Roman.
The thing is, it's so open it can work. My problem with the bloodline, and it's been a problem for years, is that we don't really know what that means. Like, what does it mean to be the head of the table? Okay, what are they fighting for? But hey, look.
I mean, your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah, War Games is the thing I think. That'd be the perfect War Games match, Old versus New Bloodline. Maybe Rocky if he wants to come back. I doubt it. But the thing I have is it won't work until we establish what makes this bloodline different. And that takes time, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a very interesting question to try and figure out how they square this. I don't think, I mean, WWE certainly had worse challenges. I think the challenges that he when people are chanting "We want Roman," it's not Solo and company. And let me be fair and real on this. I mean, I might make jokes, but like WWE isn't doing them any favors. The first week when they started chanting "We want Roman," it's like, oh, maybe we need to find a way to do something different. Like they're making the storyline. Okay, here we go. They're making the storyline more about the bloodline and what's happening to it than anything individually showcasing Tongaloa, Tamatanga, and Solo Sikoa.
Okay, that's fair. Right.
You know, and even the conflict is kind of weak because the conflict's with Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman is like the younger brother. Your parents are out of town, and it's like mom and dad aren't gonna like this. You know,
he's a Disney sitcom character.
Yeah,
that's gonna freak.
Yeah, that's what he's doing.
Oh no. Yeah.
And basically he's a step away from being like, I'm telling dad. Like he's basically said that.
Wow.
You know, like it's weird, right?
It is kind of weird. It's kind of cool. And him being scared every week is kind of weird too.
Yeah, because it's like, dude, why are you so like? You could call like, did Roman say like, under no means are you supposed to call me? I don't care if they burn down the house with you inside of it. You do not call me.
Right.
It's just weird. It's just a very odd predicament. It's stretching the limits of believability, and that's saying something for professional wrestling.
Yeah, this fake bloodline has rules, standards even. I don't know. I'm all bored with the Solo Sikoa thing. I know people are saying he doesn't work the mic as well. It doesn't seem like the same. But if you're going to have a bloodline matchup and you're going to go through the trouble last WrestleMania of telling me there's an entire tree of people that haven't showed up yet, give me a real Marvel Civil War. If you're going to bring in Naomi, now's the time. You're going to bring in Tamina. You're going to bring in Nia Jax, The Rock. Now's the time to do that. And give me an 8 versus 8 match. Winner take all Survivor Series.
Well, and speaking of which, Naomi is getting a match next week.
Hell yeah. She's amazing.
Against Chelsea.
Hey,
I'm sure Bailey and Piper will have nothing to do with that match. Friday.
Nope.
Nothing. So we'll see. Flobo, any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
Well, shout out to everyone hanging with us on a Friday night, especially Hugh J. Niece for the comments. Appreciate you. I will not be on Battleground this weekend, but you're going to see a lot more of me as the weeks come on here on Wrestling Inc. And I have a podcast. It's called Draped in Gold, where we break down NXT in the kayfabe kind of way. Learn more at drapedingold.com.
Nice. I'm at Glenn Rubenstein. He's at Flobo Boyce. Look for me on your TV this weekend in the audience of Battleground. It'll be fun. And can't wait to talk about the fallout from that and the experience Tuesday on the NXT coverage here on Wrestling Inc. Everybody have a great weekend. Hope you enjoy yourselves. Catch you back here next time on the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Take care.
Miss Jada.